if you got pregnant outside of wedlock, your daughter, either you bring them to one of these mother and baby homes run by the Catholic Church, but you didn't really have a choice because the priest would turn up and take the child from you. I heard a story of a friend of mine whose mother, I mean, she actually ended up dying by suicide. I think she was in her 60s. She got pregnant outside of wedlock and she went to England because she knew that she didn't want to go into one of these homes. A priest followed her to England, a Catholic priest followed her to England and brought her back. So we think about the Catholic Church and their involvement in these homes and what they did, but there was always collusion with the state. The state had to be involved. A priest can't just go to another country and bring a child back because he wants to. I mean, the authorities have to allow that. People can't die in a mother and baby home and be buried in a septic tank without the local council knowing. The mother and baby home were contracted to the local council. So if you're wondering why these things are only coming to light, we're only talking about them now, it takes time for it all to come out. Why things are being buried, why information is being redacted, is because if you think about who was on the council in Galway at the time, in Tuam, who were the government of the time? Was it Fine Gael? Was it Fianna Fáil? Who's the government of today? Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil. There's legacy issues. There's egos at stake here. These people do not want to tarnish the reputation of their government. They're directly linked to the deaths of these children and mothers and whoever else was buried unceremoniously in that septic tank by a religious order. The religious order who wouldn't bury people in a grave if they died by suicide or if they hadn't been baptized. A child wasn't allowed to be buried in a graveyard on the site of a Catholic church graveyard. They'd have to be buried in a, I don't even know what they call them, but they weren't allowed to be buried in their own graveyard because they hadn't been baptized into the church, or if they died by suicide, or if the Catholic deemed them not worthy to be buried on their grounds. Yet the same Catholic Church, following the death from, we don't know how these babies died, we don't know how these women died, but they were buried and dumped in a septic tank. That's what we're dealing with. So we just need to be really clear. So this doesn't get lost in politics and, chat and, talk about digging and how much and how many. These are people. These aren't numbers. These are people's bodies. And this was an institution that did it, aided and abetted by our state, our country.